Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. You're watching Pakistan TV and I hope that you all are having an amazing day ahead and you all have grabbed your jackets and a cup of tea and coffee as well. And I am joined by my fabulous co-anchor Eesha, Rehan, who is in the studios with us, and of course we'll be sharing very exciting topics today. We'll be talking about the climate change, we'll be talking about the world mountains, and of course yes,
let's just
Eesha,
straight up dive into the news that we have for you. First things first, the United States has approved the sale of advanced technology and support for Pakistan's F-16 fighter jets valuing up to $686 million. A letter from the U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency was sent to the U.S. Congress on December 8th. The package includes Link 16 systems, cryptographic equipment and aviation equipment, training and comprehensive logistical support. We will be having a defense analyst talking about this, but not just this. Ali has some interesting news to share with you as well.
Yes, of course, when we talk about the Bangladesh's regional grouping, Bangladesh says that it is strategically positioned for Dhaka to join a regional grouping with Islamabad while excluding New Delhi. And of course, we'll also be talking about the VANDE MATARAM, the national song for India, and of course MOULANA ARSHAD MADANI, the president of the Ulama-e-Hind and the head of the teachers, has expressed his concerns regarding Muslims and has suggested not for the Muslims not to recite VANDE MATARAM as Muslims only worship one God. And of course, we'll also be talking about that why Muslims should not recite VANDE MATARAM. And of course, the president of the Ulama-e-Hind, Maulana Arshad Madani, has said that there is a strong difference between the patriotism, the nationalism, and respecting one's religious sentiments.
Definitely, that is an integral subject we will be diving into, but not just this. We have some interesting news to share with you. Australia has dared to do what no other country has dared to do. It has pulled the plug on social media. It has banned social media for children at the ages of 16. This decision has definitely shaken the digital world and definitely shaken all the teenagers of Australia. We will be having a psychologist discussing the impact of this, but not just this. We have some eager news to share with you. Go ahead, Ali.
Yes, of course. Also, we'll be talking about today is the World Mountain Day, as the United Nations General Assembly has declared 11th of December as the World Mountains Day, and today's theme of 2025 is preservation of the glaciers, as Pakistan is home to 13,000 glaciers, and United Nations is celebrating the International Year of the Glacier Preservation of 2025.
All right, and not just this, what is actually happening in Pakistan, that law, order and enforcement is being placed at the traffic police. Millions of violations take place every day, but the traffic police is at the head of it, making sure to guide the people to the right path and make sure that we drive safe. But we will be having the head of traffic police Punjab talking to us regarding all the rules and regulations and the changes they have implemented to make the lives of Pakistani citizens safe. With that, we will be heading out towards a short break. Make sure to stay tuned with us. We will be right back. All right, welcome back to all the lovely people who stay tuned. We do hope that you went and grabbed a cup of chai and coffee to dive into these subjects that we are going to be discussing with you. First things first, the United States approved the sale of advanced technology and support for Pakistan's F-16 fighter jets. But not just this, Bangladesh says it has strategically positioned for Dhaka to join a regional grouping with Islamabad while excluding New Delhi. All interesting topics to dive into. To speak more about this, we actually have a senior analyst on board with us. He happens to be AZHER Hassan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, it's absolutely great to have you. What do you make about this, right? So the United States have approved the sale of advanced technology and support for Pakistan's F-16 fighter jets, valuing at around $686 million. The proposed sale also aimed at modernizing Pakistan's F-16 fleet and addressing operational safety concerns. How do you think this is going to impact the already resilient Pakistan's army capabilities?
Well, thank you very much. I think this is a very welcome development because for quite some time, because of sanctions and not so cordial relations with the United States, we were not enjoying these facilities of in defense and security. Uh, Now, the equipment they have announced to sell to Pakistan, it's already in the process. That relates to avionics, training, cryptographic equipment, and also Link 16. This equipment is going to enhance the communication security, which is very important in today's world, in particularly war, when there's so many sensors are monitoring everything. So if the communication is secure, it is very, very helpful. So it will enhance our security, our employment, enhance the security of the aircraft, as well as its effectiveness during any war or any clash. So this will be very helpful. Also, the upgrade will be there. I think.
Perfect. Absolutely. So, Mr. Azhar Hassan, as we are talking about the United States approving the support in terms of military, so also we know that Pakistan in the recent times has been facing the imminent threat of terrorism by the Afghan soil. So, how it will assist Pakistan in giving a befitting reply?
You were asking about this equipment?
All right. We cannot hear Azhar Hassan
Mr.
right
Azhar,
now.
are we audible to you?
Yes, yes. Can you come?
Yes, absolutely. So as we are speaking of these fighter jets that value at $686 million, and we know that we have been facing this imminent threat by the Afghan soil, the Indian proxies operating from Afghanistan are sabotaging the peace in the region, but the armed forces of the country, they are determined to give a befitting reply. So how this assistance is going to help Pakistan in giving a befitting reply to the enemy's aggression?
Well, it is very effective because in today's world, the employment is all about intelligence, about knowing the plans, about deciphering the communications, finding out what's going to happen, and then preparing countermeasures in advance, or even employing the things effectively. So, aggression from wherever it comes, our employment will be very, very effective against that. Secure, effective, and of course, deliver very tough blow to anybody who ventures into this kind of operation.
All right, thank you so much for pinpointing all those essential facts. And we have some interesting news to share with you is that Bangladesh says it has strategically positioned for Dhaka to join the regional grouping with Islamabad while excluding New Delhi. This is an important development, and not just this. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar recently stated that at the Islamabad conclave that a new trilateral initiative is going to involve Bangladesh, China and Pakistan. They will also expand to new regions. How do you think Pakistan is progressing on a diplomatic level where Bangladesh is joining Islamabad and excluding New Delhi at this point?
This is another very important development. I think this region has been held hostage to ambitions of one particular country. It deserves better. And this is one of the poorest regions in the world, despite immense resources that is blessed with. So if some countries have pledged to join together regionally, they will exploit its potential and, of course, benefit the people. This is not the time when the countries try to coerce others, use as military employment to achieve its objective. It is time to respect each other, their equality, their sovereignty, as well as their mutual shared interests. So I think this development of China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, as indeed others in the region, who will be willing to join, this respects each other's sovereignty, this respects mutual shared interest, and on the basis of equality, this is very warm welcome development, and it has a lot of potential to improve regional stability in terms of economics, in terms of politics, as well as security. I think this will be a big blow to those countries who have been holding it back for decades, the effectiveness of SAARC also.
All right, that was put together perfectly well. Thank you so much for being here and highlighting how Pakistan is at the front fort of diplomacy, regional diplomacy all across the globe, where it is in the spotlight, sparkling wide. But not just this, we do have some interesting developments to share with you. Why don't you go ahead and share with us?
Yes, absolutely. Before I start, it is very important to know that Pakistan is being very responsible, and Pakistan, despite having the military prowess, the kinetic prowess, Pakistan is acting very responsibly and is resorting to the diplomacy, the diplomatic channels. And without any further ado, another very interesting news that we are coming across is that the president of the Jamiat-e-Ulama-e-Hind, Maulana ARSHAD Madani, has highlighted the issue of the recitation of Vande Mataram, and he's urging the Muslims not to recite Vande Mataram because of the words of this Indian national song, which strongly is against the Muslim sentiment.
Muslim faith.
Yes, absolutely. As Muslims, they are bound to praise and worship one God only. So we have been joined by Professor Dr. Ziaul Haq, who happens to be Director General of the Islamic Research Institute. We will be talking to him about why Muslims should not be reciting Vande Mataram and what exactly is the difference between the nationalism, patriotism, and the respect for their religious sentiments, as Maulana ARSHAD Madani, who is the president of Jamiat-e-Ulama-e-Hind and head of the Teachers Sadr al-Mudarriseen.
And Ali, in this day and age, as Muslims, we need to be careful about what we say and what we not say, right? We do have the internet to translate everything for us, and it has been years since the Vande Mataram has existed, and maybe a lot of Muslims not unknowingly have committed shirk, but we will be speaking about this to a religious professional who happens to be Professional Dr. Ziaul Haq, the Director General of the Islamic Research Institute. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Right, absolutely. So as we are speaking regarding the concerns of President of the Jamiat-e-Ulama-e-Hind, Maulana ARSHAD Madani, who is saying that there is a striking difference between the nationalism, patriotism, and the respect for the religious sentiments, that he is urging the Muslims not to recite Vande Mataram because of its wording, as Muslims are bound to worship only one God, that is Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is your take, please?
Thank you very much for having a discussion on this very important topic. Actually, Vande Mataram is indicating the exclusive policies of the present regime of India. Vande Mataram has been adopted by the India as its national anthem, but this is exclusive national anthem, and it is not in accordance with the beliefs and faith of the Muslims, because Vande Mataram is demanding worship of India. India as a mother, and mother needed to be worshipped. And this is clearly contradictory to the Islamic teachings. So this is the reason that the Jamiat-ul-Hind, which is in politics always with the Congress and with the India, they're very loyal to India, but because of the exclusive nature of Vande Mataram, and its contradiction with the Islamic beliefs, they are rejecting it, and they are saying that if we will recite Vande Mataram, it will be against the Islamic teachings. So this is the reason. And
all right.
Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Professor Ziaul Haq, Director General for the Islamic Research Institute. And indeed, it was very enlightening information, Eesha.
It was.
Yes, absolutely. And here is also a lesson of the religious tolerance. And we, of course, we do not aim to promote any xenophobic or Islamophobic sentiment, but of course we need to respect the sentiments of all the religions. And when we talk about Muslims, the respect for their religion is very important, as Muslims are only bound to worship Allah. And yes, of course, the concerns are very genuine. Yes, it was absolutely highlighted. But without any further ado, let's move towards another international news, and that is Australia becomes the first country in the world to impose ban on the social media platforms for those who are under 16 years of age. as Australia becomes the first country, and the measure was passed a year ago, but it is now we are witnessing the implementation. And of course, warnings are being given to the social media platforms in case they violate 49.5 million Australian dollars of fine.
And with that, we actually have to talk more about the psychological impacts that the children might be facing and the parents might be facing. We actually have a psychologist in studios with us today. She happens to be Dr. ZUBAIR, who is a psychotherapist and a counselor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome to Pakistan TV World this morning, and it is a pleasure to have you in the company.
Thank you so much, Ali and Eesha.
All right, it's absolutely great to have you. And let's just circle back to the main topic that Australia has banned social media for teenagers till the age of 16. I want to go back to the time when I was a teenager, right? Imagine being hormonal, dramatic, and then actually having your dopamine bag of rush taken away from you, snatched away from you. What kind of a psychological impact are the children going to have now?
I think it's a wonderful topic that you've chosen today, and I am one of those people who was very, very, very happy actually when I read that. And I know a lot of teenagers, a lot of children won't like what I'm saying, but I think it was very necessary. And I'm so glad Australia has implemented this, and maybe other countries will follow suit.
Absolutely.
You know, social media it has its benefits, of course, and now we're so used to being on it that I think life without it is unimaginable.
True.
But having said that, it has a lot of negative impact, especially on the especially on the the very feeble minds of kids and children. You know, when I was reading up on this, I found statistics that 96% children between the ages of 10 to 15 actually are on social media. And that's a very vulnerable age. That's a very, your mind is so gullible and it's so impactful at that time that whatever you see can actually harm you. And then, all sorts of harmful content, you are open to that.
Absolutely.
There is no restriction.
And strangers can reach you online. They
Absolutely.
can talk to you.
Absolutely.
If parental tools are not in place, I mean, any random person could feed ideas into your mind or cause anxiety.
You know, it can cause a lot of anxiety, it can cause violence, it can cause loss of sleep, it can cause a lot of different issues, and also it makes you very antisocial.
Right, absolutely. So when we are talking about the impact of the social media, of course there are positive impacts too, ma'am, but right now we are focusing on the negative impacts because the children's minds, their brains, they're very malleable and they are very sensitive. So what are the most common negative impacts that you hear, that you come across as a psychotherapist, as a counselor, when it comes to the children's self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and body image? And what sort of content is triggering the most the depression?
Actually, you've mentioned a few I just mentioned, but the most important thing is it makes children very antisocial. And I have to stress on that because I get a lot of mothers these days with teenage kids, and they say, they don't have any friends, they don't want to go out, they're always on their phone 24/7. And, like you mentioned, anxiety, and also what causes anxiety in social media.
What is anxiety in itself?
Yeah, it's actually the instant gratification. Anxiety, what exactly is it? It's just a dopamine rush of different emotions, right? When you feel a lot of emotions at the same time, you get overwhelmed, and we call that anxiety. Now, having said that, when everything is at the tip of your finger, right? You don't like something, you just move on, you swipe up. You don't like what a friend is saying, the comment of a friend, you delete it, you move on, you post pictures, you look at people. They're projecting a certain image.
But just connecting with your thoughts and your opinion, I believe that I'm witnessing the lack of patience in today's generation as well.
Absolutely, lack of patience and lack of tolerance.
Absolutely.
So you see,
lack of emotional tolerance.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you see, it doesn't impact one little thing. It impacts your entire life. And when you say that, of course it's going to impact your interactions, the way you speak, the way you use your vocabulary, how violent you become. Have you noticed children these days like playing all these violent
video
games?
games, definitely. And on that note, what I would really like to highlight is that me and Ali, we were exposed to social media when we grew up at the end of our teenage,
we were actually talking about this before the start of the show, that I personally got my first Facebook account when I was in my A-levels, and my father, he created this Facebook account. And similarly, Eesha was sharing that she got her first Facebook account when she was in the O-levels.
When I was at the end of my O-levels, I wasn't allowed proper social media till I was 18.
Same here.
And this actually allowed our brains to develop and actually grow up in a tender age
and
where we
socialize
connected
with people as
our
well,
neighbors,
and
our
engage
cousins,
in
our
the physical
friends.
activities and
But
the
nowadays,
activities.
you see children growing up with iPads and smartphones, and it has actually caused a lot of ADHD issues, a lot of dopamine issues, because you're used to getting that rush, right? Just like how addicted you are to drugs, that's the same kind of chemicals it releases in your brain when you use social media. So now with ADHD on the rise, with attention span issues on the rise, do you think this was the right step, especially because the Australian government is going to track the grades, the relationship progress of the students of this age?
I think it was absolutely amazing that they've implemented this, but the most important thing is the enforcement of this law, right? So they've also, I think they're going to monitor all these social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., Snapchat. I think Snapchat is very popular amongst teenagers.
Yes.
And they're going to be enforcing, and they're going to be also penalizing companies and organizations which are not implementing and enforcing these laws. And having said that, you just mentioned how you guys got your first social media accounts when you were in O-levels. I think I am the only generation, because you're younger than me, so which has actually seen life without social media. And I think it was a wonderful time, because there was more engagement of children with the parents, there were more outdoor activities, there was more socializing with family and friends. I think that has diminished with time now.
Right, absolutely. So also, how do you see the importance of parenting in this whole process, and how educational institutions and parents can play their collective role?
I think the role of parents is very, very important, because they're the first exposure a child has in the world. So setting healthy boundaries, monitoring the social media, and also it's very important to be in touch with the educational institutes and the teachers. You see, because children spend most of the time at school. So if the parents are in touch with the teachers, they know exactly what they're doing, what their behavior, what everything is all about,
Absolutely.
Right?
Unfortunately, we're very short of time. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Zubia.
Thank you.
It was indeed a very enlightening conversation with you.
Thank you
and
so much.
Without any further ado, let's talk about the World Mountains Day, the 11th of December, that has been designated by the United Nations General Assembly as the World Mountains Day in order to observe the importance of the mountains, and why this day is observed to raise awareness about the importance of the mountains to the ecology and the people as well.
And almost 70% of the world's fresh water comes from glaciers found in the mountainous regions. Glaciers support life beyond the mountains, and today glaciers are melting at the fastest rate due to climate change. This causes serious dangers like floods, landslides, glacial melting, and glacier disappearance is not only an environmental problem, it is a humanitarian problem. We are dependent on water. Only the world has 3% of drinkable water.
Absolutely, and Eesha, also Pakistan is a house to 13,000 glaciers, and with the risk of the climate change, Pakistan being less than 1% contributor towards the global carbon gas emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions, Pakistan is unfortunately facing the brunt of the climate change. So without any further ado, we have been joined by former climate minister and the head of the the Senate's Standing Committee on the Climate Change, Ms. Rehman. Thank you very much for your time with Pakistan TV. And of course, as we are talking about the World Mountains Day, the importance of the climate change. So how do you see the current scenario?
What are you asking me exactly? You're asking me about melting glaciers?
All right, let's dive into how Pakistan's glaciers are amongst our greatest assets, and Pakistan contributes minimally to the global emissions, but we are facing the brunt end of the stick. What do you say about protecting the glaciers of Pakistan, especially on this auspicious day of the International Mountain Day?
I think we have a few things to other than the 1% to talk about. That's a climate justice argument. What we're talking about now is the rate of heating and glacial melt really, as there it's as you just mentioned, somebody just mentioned that there are over 3,000 glacial lakes and over 13,000 glaciers. You have an issue where Pakistan, I mean, really has the largest amount of glaciers outside the polar region. And yes, of course, they're the Pakistan's greatest natural asset. They're called Asia's water towers because they generate most of the hydromet resources this particular region relies on. And so in Pakistan is, specifically almost entirely reliant on glacial melt for its main water tributary, which is the Indus water. So I think a river. So I think that is the one thing that people need to worry about when they look at glacial melt. That almost, like a large percentage of our water supply, which is needed for food production, about 90% is supplied by the Indus River, and it is now, despite our 13,000 and 32 glaciers, we are looking at the glaciers retreating. We are also seeing at a 16% reduction in their water mass, just over the last few years. So that is very, very alarming because what this tells us is that our glaciers are melting very fast. And we know that that's happening globally. I mean, we do know that the Swiss Alps had to shut down their tourism industry last year or year before that because one hot summer led them to a point of, snow melt that they could not continue their ecotourism economy. Now, for Pakistan, it's a far more fundamental and existential crisis, because what it does is when I say there's a 10 to 15% decline in crop production, this is part of the reason that your water mass, the water reserves available to you, are becoming less and less. Yes, initially when the glacier melts, obviously there's more water in the system, but it is not a steady water flow. You see Pakistan veering between droughts and extreme flooding. So this is a function of climate change, of volatility in weather patterns, and glaciers are part of the entire ecosystem that are in distress.
Right,
Definitely, definitely.
absolutely. So as you are rightly mentioning about the 16% reduction in the water mass, you're talking about the food insecurity that is existing. 50 to 55% of the Pakistani population is engaged with the agricultural sector. And also, as we know that Pakistan is home to 13,000 glaciers and the threat of the glacial lake outbursts, which you are rightly mentioning. So how grave is the threat? And what measurable efforts are required to tackle it?
Well, I mean, one of the dangers that accrue, you must have heard, obviously, or is this a very general argument, is that there are glacial lakes that are deadly, that form, and then when they break, it leads to immediate flooding and distress. So I think early warning systems are needed in at least the GB area and even KP, parts of KP, which are situated near higher mountains and where these glacial lakes form. They're called glacial lake outburst floods. As everyone knows, GLOFs, and the GLOF events are particularly traumatic for communities in those areas. Because when the glaciers, start melting, what happens is that they form lakes at the bottom in the ravines or nearby, and then when those lakes then freeze over during the season, when they burst in a particularly hot summer or spring, what happens is that they carry boulders, they carry bridges, they carry entire whatever infrastructure, human or otherwise, is in their way, uh, literally away with them in a rush of icy water, because that is the glacial lake outburst flood. That is its peril, its danger, and the entire community there, if it has not moved out of the way, is absolutely at risk in every way possible in terms of high mortality and other damages. So Pakistan has developed a system of, like other countries that are situated near extremely high mountain ranges, these GLOF early warning systems. Having said that, they are not at all enough. In Pakistan, they're provided by UNDP to some extent, but the rest of it is run by the local communities. And really, the early warning systems last year, I recall a shepherd warning the community that a GLOF is about to come, are not particularly working at the scale and efficiency they need to. So that is one of the things that we have to really worry about, excuse me, and also invest in, because early warning systems are now seen as fundamental human rights by the Secretary General of the United Nations, for the simple reason that they, in this era of constant climate volatility and extreme weather events, what early warning systems do is they save lives, and they give the community, the people, the individuals, the farmers, the livestock, the time to move out and evacuate from the way of an impending disaster. So GLOF is one of the programs associated with living near glaciers and glacial regions, and that is something that I think, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for taking out your important time and being here on the show with us today. Talk is pertinent issue that is impacting Pakistan and the globe as well. That is climate change and how we need to protect our national assets, which are the glaciers. You've spoken wonderfully well and pinpointed everything out very, very accurately. But to bring the mountains more closer to us, we actually have someone else to talk to. Why don't you introduce our guest, Ali?
Well, absolutely. Without any further ado, we have someone whose story screams resilience and the fragility of the beauty of the icy peaks. We have Sajid Ali Sadpara with us, who is the first Pakistani to summit the 8,000ers, 8,000ers, and this year's summit Dhau Lagiri without any supplemental oxygen. And just last week, he bagged the Best Mountaineer Award at Pakistan's National Tourism Awards.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Ali Sadpara. We're honored to have you here. Let's just dive straight into the question. It is the International Mountain Day. Why do you think this day is so pertinent to talk about, especially since you have grown up in the mountains, you won climbing expeditions? Do you think there has been a change because of climate change in the glaciers that surround the mountains and the impact of climbing that you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, yeah. So Mountain Day every year we celebrate on 11th of December. So it's the mountains, yeah. It's a great art of nature, yeah. And everything we experience in the mountain, like snow, storms, winds, everything we experience in the mountains, yeah. So I'm a professional mountaineer, and I spent from last 6, 7, 8 years. I am in mountaineering. I'm a professional mountaineer. So it's yeah, every year I'm going to Everest and other big mountains, yeah, in the world, Nanga Parbat, in Nepal, in Pakistan, and China, Tibet. So we're feeling, yeah, this year I was in K2 in July, yeah, and every year I go there. This year was totally different, yeah, like such kind of hot temperature and such kind of rockfall. We are like struggling a lot, professional mountaineers for climbing due to climate change, and a lot of waters we are experiencing in KM1, near KM1, going to KM2 on the way. There's a water channels, yeah, and it's amazing for us, like how this our mountains is affecting from global climate change, yeah. So it was very affecting, and we are thinking now, like in Pakistan, there is a June, July is a climbing season. So we are thinking to shift is the K2 season and other mountain season to earlier, yeah, due to climate change. We can't go on the normal season, yeah, in July, yeah, we can't climb due to hotness. There is dry mountain condition. With our mountain, there is a lot of glacial lakes in Himalayas and Karakoram. We are experiencing from my 6, 7 years of climbing experience. Every year I go in mountains, big mountains. So personally in my life, everything is changing a lot in big mountains, yeah, due to weather pattern changes and climate effects, yeah. And we are personally experiencing, yeah, like in the K2 base camp, every year I go during expeditions. We feel like, oh my God, we put tents in the glacier, yeah, like they are melting so fast, tents, that we have to shift our tents from one place to another in a days, yeah, like before it stay 15, 20 days, we put one tent in one place, yeah, so it don't melt that glacier, yeah, but at this time, like, it's melting a lot, so we have to, like, implement strategies, policies to this climate change we have to implement in a practical way, especially in Pakistan, yeah, in other countries, in I listen in the Alps, Europe, there is also affecting a lot in Karakoram, also it's affecting a lot. So sometime personally as a mountainer, I feel some weather pattern changes. Yeah, like this year was very hot, like 2025. Maybe next year, like it will be a change, weather pattern change, and there will be a snow and different condition. So it will be different weather pattern changes also. Weather pattern changes. But we are feeling, we are experiencing a lot of climate change in big mountains.
All right, thank you so much for taking out time and being here on the show, talking about this pertinent day as a mountaineer yourself. But moving on to our next segment, which is regarding how the traffic laws are changing in Punjab and Pakistan, and how traffic laws are being implemented to save the lives of people. Just in a few days, more than
734,000 traffic violation tickets they have been issued in 12 days, and it is indeed a great achievement on part of the Punjab Traffic Police. The measures are being taken for your safety, for the safety of the citizens, and it is very important to observe the traffic rules, and here mindfulness comes into play. And of course, with the traffic violation tickets being issued, there is a significant reduction in the fatal accidents. Eesha, 50% fatal accidents, they have been reduced, and of course also 80% the juvenile drivers, they also have been reduced.
And we are so glad that this crackdown has happened and that citizens are moving towards safe driving. To speak more about this integral issue, we actually have WAQAS NAZIR, who is the head of traffic Punjab Police and the senior police officer who has served as the additional IG Operations Punjab. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to have you. All right, it's absolutely wonderful to have you on the show today, and we have seen in just 12 days more than 734,000 traffic violation fines have been reported, and people are thinking of this as an aggressive crackdown. But please explain to the citizens why it is important for their safety.
Thank you so much for having me. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The basic motive of this drive for enforcement of traffic laws was twofold. First was to make our roads safer and to save precious lives which are lost in traffic accidents every year. And the other component was to make the traffic more disciplined and save time and the agony which commuters face in our urban centers, especially during busy hours of the day. So on both counts, alhamdulillah, the enforcement action is working. As you have just mentioned that the traffic accidents, and especially fatal traffic accidents, have come down drastically. And for last, say, 2 weeks, there are 8 districts of Punjab where there was not a single fatal accident. And in 31 urban areas where we have most of the vehicular traffic, there was no fatal accident because of this enforcement campaign. On the other hand, people are going for licensing. You can see long queues outside.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for highlighting that.
Absolutely, as licenses they are being issued. So basically, I'm more interested to know that what prompted the provincial government to amend the 60-year-old Traffic Act with 20 major reforms. And of course,
we will be talking about
it's very important for me to know that, 734,000 violation tickets, they have been issued. What were the reforms that were introduced, that were in place?
And Ali, I think this was so important to implement in Pakistan because, people driving without licenses, it's been years since they haven't had their licenses.
Mindless driving, I must say, that
and
you get to witness on roads.
You're going in one lane, right?
Absolutely.
And then you know that you have to be mentally prepared for someone coming the wrong way, whether it's a motorcycle or a car.
It is very important for all of us, even for both of us, Eesha and myself. It is very important for us to understand that, all these people, the traffic police, which you get to see on roads in your daily routine, they are there to protect us. They are there to protect you from the fatal accidents, and it is
what
very
is actually
important to
done,
follow the rules and
what is
regulations.
actually done in other countries is that from a young tender age, I have cousins studying in the UK, since the ages of 12 to 14, they're shown accident videos, they're shown the harmful endeavors that you receive when you violate traffic laws, when you don't wear seatbelts, when you
By the
don't
way,
wear
let
helmets.
me share one of my memories
go ahead, Ali.
getting a driver's license back in 2013, I guess, and I got my driver's license in a few attempts. I was not successful.
We are back with our guests.
So we are back with our guests. So now to ask you, sir, what prompted the provincial government to basically amend the 60-year-old Traffic Act with 20 major reforms?
Yeah, that was the start point actually. Because with the passage of time, change on the roads. For instance, 10 years after this motor vehicles ordinance, there were only 13,000 vehicles registered in Punjab. And today, as we sit and talk, there are more than 25 million vehicles plying on Punjab roads every day. So things have changed. The problems which we face today were not even conceivable in 1965. So the amendment in the law was necessary and which was done. And then the second component was the enforcement, a meaningful enforcement which yielded results. And the third and equally important component is education. We are focusing a lot on education because in populations like Punjab, which is a big province, if people are not sensitive and educated about the traffic laws, they do not understand the discipline they are supposed to display on the roads, then mere enforcement action might not be sufficient to keep our roads running smoothly and safely. So all three components are being focused on.
So, right, absolutely. Also, there is a significant reduction in juvenile drivers, 80% reduction in juvenile drivers. So, what reforms were basically deployed to achieve this figure? And also, I'm very interested to know, as you are mentioning about educating the young drivers, educating the people about the implementation of the rules. So, how can we work collectively for the achievement of traffic laws?
Yeah. The juvenile drivers and saving their lives was one of the topmost priorities of Chief Minister of Punjab. Previously, if we go through the data of 2022, 23, 24, 8% fatal accidents, the driver was an underage kid. So 8 out of every 100 fatal accidents were caused by a driver who was not legally allowed to drive a car. So after this campaign, this has come drastically down. And the recipe was to control at source, to discourage youngsters to come on the roads as drivers. And that has come down more than 90% by now. So when lesser number of juvenile drivers are on the road, naturally, probability of their involvement or ending up in an accident goes down naturally. The education component is very, very important, and especially for the youngsters. So we are sending our teams to the universities, to the colleges, to the higher schools where kids try to take their chances and try to drive cars or motorbikes, and we try to educate them about traffic, about traffic laws and about the importance of having a license if they want to drive at all. Uh,
All right. All right, you've actually pinpointed that out so accurately, and Mr. Waqas, what I really want to do is applaud your efforts, because it just seems so impossible to do in Punjab, in Pakistan.
734,000 violation tickets.
Exactly, and what you did was that in Pakistan, traffic laws were taken very casually. Helmets not worn, seatbelts not worn, traffic violations happening here and there, but you were able to achieve this crackdown. You were able to implement these laws. What do you think? We actually want to hear from your side. What were the difficulties that you faced the most, and how were you able to achieve this? What message do you actually have for the people to actually adhere to these rules and actually compromise with you and follow according to your laws?
For us, it is more than a campaign or a drive. It is, in fact, an effort to change the way people approach life. The biggest challenge is to inculcate that mental change, that whenever someone wants to come on the road, he or she must take it as a serious business and mentally prepare and committed to follow the laws and the rules which are required to be observed on the road. So if there is this attitudinal change in our citizens, the enforcement job becomes much easier. So my message to the people who are living in Punjab and driving cars and motorbikes on the roads is uh, that we need to learn to drive, we need to learn to use road, and we need to learn laws which regulate all this. If we drive after learning and observing laws, will make roads safer for our own selves and fellow citizens. And similarly, we can save ourselves and others from the agony of driving in a disordered, messy traffic, which unfortunately we cause ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Mohammed Waqas. Mohammed Waqas Nazir, head of the Traffic Punjab Police, and of course, there is one very important lesson of the day which we all need to practice, and that is mindfulness. Because when we practice mindfulness with ourselves, we are very mindful about others, and it makes the lives of us and the others easier.
What a beautiful message, Ali. With that note, we will be ending World this morning, and it was wonderful to have you all here today. It was wonderful to have Ali here today with such energetic and charismatic energy.
Thank you.
And with that, make sure to take the message that he gave you, comprehend on it, adhere to it, and make sure to catch us live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We will be waiting for you eagerly as you wait for us. Stay tuned, and Allah Hafiz.
And good morning, Pakistan.